All right, good morning. Welcome in. Dogs win 2-1. Walk-off in the ninth. Connor Hysack with the big walk-off. Marshawn got on base, made the magic happen. And the Dogs take one against the Rebs, rip their heart out. Ole Miss had a long way to go. But, I mean, these guys are competitive. They want to keep playing and see if they could find the magic. Mississippi State, they're in the tournament. And as we have talked about, and we'll see where they are, they win, they are hosting tonight. They win tonight. They may still host, but I don't know. Depends on, now you don't put bids in anymore. I had to ask Steve Robertson about that. I don't know if that's to make sure that the smaller teams are I don't know. I don't understand any of that. But used to put in a bid, and you could kind of, I guess, money whip other people, as you should if you're Mississippi State baseball, who pulls the biggest numbers by far and away, and nobody else is close. They may put down some inflated numbers, but it's not. And so, yeah, I don't know what. Who knows? I mean, that's like y'all trying to figure out what I'm going to do, or me trying to figure out what y'all are going to do today. I mean, thinking to try to figure out what a committee of humans is going to do. I feel like I'm just chasing my tail and wasting my time. Whether that's a committee down the street doing something, or a baseball or a basketball committee, or whatever. So we're live in the Bank Plus studio. Hail State fans are happy. Ole Miss fans, I don't know. I mean, they had a long way to go. They would have loved to have ripped State's heart out and really, I guess, slammed the door on their hosting. So, yeah, they wanted it. Riley Maddox is from here. He pitched. He was unbelievable for Ole Miss. Unbelievable. And Brooks Auger matched him with 13 Ks. And then Furness gave Ole Miss the run, and Mississippi State ends up manufacturing with, I guess, their best pro prospect striking out to give them their second out, but their best player in SEC play in Connor Hysack hitting an absolute missile to left for a 2-run homer, and Mississippi State will play Texas A&M tonight. Can't believe I stayed up for it, but I didn't know first pitch was going to be that early. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're brought to you by the Purple Mattress from any of the Muskelly sleep stores. And it is fantastic and fabulous. Try it out today at any of the Muskelly sleep stores. Lay down on it. See what you think. It's got the purple grid. Groundbreaking technology for the mattress industry. The Purple Mattress from any of the Muskelly sleep stores. Rest and recovery. Doesn't trap heat. And instantly adapts to your body. All powered by the Purple Mattress from any of the Muskelly sleep stores. We want to welcome in Steve Robertson on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. 247 Sports, Gene's Page. He was there last night. Steve, how you feeling this morning?
I don't know how well I slept. I mean, it's one of those moments, it's like, we talk about this stuff all the time, but, there's all this talk about people being goated, and there's legendary type stuff. That was a ball game last night that I don't think anybody on the Mississippi State or Ole Miss side will ever forget. I mean, it was very reminiscent of, 21 years ago when Thomas Berkery walked off Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. And these two teams don't get together very often in the SEC tournament. And so it makes it a little more memorable. But the adrenaline was flowing, I think, all over town after that. That was just kind of an unexpected finish in many respects. But, man, what an incredible swing and an incredible moment by Connor Hysack.
Well, I mean, this guy hadn't played in a couple of weeks, and he, Riley Maddox made everybody look bad for several innings, as did Auger. And, they hang in there and get through, a couple of guys, and all of a sudden, I mean, this guy's, he's their best player in SEC play. Where does this come from?
Well, I don't think it was in question, and we talked about him at the beginning of the year saying he could be an X factor for State. We just didn't know what to expect. I mean, he had limited at-bats last year. And Lamona said in the offseason when he and I spoke, he said, probably the two players that needed to get more ABs last year that didn't were Bryce Chance and Connor Hysack. And now you look at what, Bryce Chance, a tough night last night, but Bryce Chance has been one of State's most consistent performers. And then Connor Hyzak, of course, has been the best and most clutch hitter on this team throughout the season, but especially in SEC play. And, what's interesting to you mentioned Maddox, and lost in all of this last night is the performance of Raleigh Maddox, who was absolutely outstanding. He absolutely was. And it was a classic pitcher's duel. And a lot of times it boils down to who makes a mistake, right? And, the home run in the fifth inning from Furness gets off of Hyzak's glove, and you think, oh, gosh, there's no way that stands up. One run's not going to win this ball game. And lo and behold, with 2 outs in the ninth, one run was about to win that ball game. But it was an absolutely amazing moment just because of the stakes really for both teams. And anytime state moments get together, no matter the sport, the emotions are going to run high. But to see Connor Hyzak come through there, because his earlier at-bats, Maddox got him on a breaking ball, and he looked really, really bad. He looked like a guy that hadn't swung a bat in a couple of weeks. And then he comes up and he's late on a fastball, pushes it to right field, and it's just, I just thought to myself, I just don't know if you're going to get anything out of him tonight. And lo and behold, swing for the ages.
Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Spring Street Cigars in Starkville, one of the nicest cigar shops and lounges in the country. Spring Street Cigars in Starkville. You're listening to ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Okay, what about Brooks Auger and what Justin Parker has been able to do with him?
Well, it's incredible. Brooks was a guy too that was good under Foxhall before he had the UCL tear. And so it's not like it's come completely out of nowhere. I wouldn't say his turnaround is like a Tyson Harden type deal, but
fair enough.
It was a really interesting moment after the ball game, and I tried to get a video of it. By the time I did, things were kind of slowing down, but Lamonos has met with the team, and the guys are all celebrating. They're jumping around the dugout, and then there's Brooks Auger, who is emotionally wasted. Like, he's just sitting there, sitting on the pad of the dugout there, and there's this party going on behind him. He gave absolutely everything he had for that team. And I asked the first question in the press conference, and the kid just breaks down and starts crying. And he goes, "Man, it's just God's work." He is an incredible young man, and to see him come through on that stage in a game like this that Mississippi State absolutely had to have if they want to host, it's pretty special and pretty remarkable. They don't let us shoot video at the SEC tournament, so if you can get your hands on that video, you'll be glad you did.
Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. He's recapping the epic battle and big victory for Hail State baseball as they'll take on the Aggies tonight. They beat Ole Miss in a walk-off with Connor Hyzak and the crew. So what Lamonis said last night, that they'll be able to reset, and it sure sounded like they'll get back into the rotation because of what Auger allowed them to do. And my takeaway, Steve, was that it would be Steven and Sanja coming up. Is that what you got?
Well, I'm not exactly sure yet. And
okay.
I consider the same comment. It's like, well, do they come back today on Wednesday, with Steven? You're guaranteed 2 more games now. And I kind of joked with Chris in postgame after we were leaving. I said, hey, this is a Lamonis record. And he goes, what are you talking about? Because I always have something for him, I said, well, we're going to get to play 3 games in Hoover for the first time since you've been here, And he goes,
wow.
And he said, well, we were here for 3 days and 21. I said, yeah, counting the bye. So now you're guaranteed 2 more games. You got to get 1, right? And so that's where State is right now. But I'll tell you this, Bo, even before the game yesterday, the confidence about the SEC getting 6 host sites, which would mean Mississippi State would be one of them, in the Hoover Met is through the roof. And one person whose name I won't mention said, with Georgia's loss to LSU, if Mississippi State won, which they did, it actually bolsters that case, because now you look at it, man, Mississippi State's got 19 wins against SEC foes now. And that's regardless of the non-conference matchup in Pearl, and then, of course, in the tournament. You got 19 wins in the best conference in college baseball. And then you've got LSU beating Georgia, which moves LSU's 2 wins into to quad 1, which that did work out for State as we expected. But the fact that Georgia lost and State won only really kind of bolsters that case that both of those teams are deserving, based on kind of what's happening. And I still think they need 1 more to feel good. But there are some people that are employed by a league that that are very, very confident that State gets a host.
Okay. So let's say that that Lemonis is not ready to do that, to reset the order. Okay, so let's take Steven and Sanja out tonight. Then who do you think would throw tonight against the Aggies, Steve?
Well, I mean, you could throw Nate Dome. He only went one inning over the weekend, and there was some chatter that he might even start the game yesterday. And I think maybe that was asking a little bit too much. But now that you've got kind of the wind at your back, and really the only guy that pitched yesterday that can't pitch today is Brooks Auger. I mean, Tyson Harden obviously can pitch, and TD, only faced one hitter. So bullpen's in great shape. So maybe you can go out there with Nate. Maybe Nate can get you 4. Maybe Nate can get you 5. And then all of a sudden you start thinking, okay, can I piece this thing together on the back end? And the ball really didn't carry that well last night. That's what makes both of those home runs that got out really kind of show you what good swings they were. It gets a little cooler at night, and so the ball doesn't travel quite as well. This is a huge ballpark, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people come out there and think, well, I'll just go over here and swing for the fence, and the next thing you know, it's 25 feet short of the warning track. It's just hitting Foley Field or Alex Box. But and I think that's why teams like Georgia struggle here. It's because of the fact they're just so used to playing in a silo, and they come here. Georgia just never ever scores in the SEC tournament, which is incredible. But I think when you begin to work through this thing, you begin to realize that there are going to be some teams that have different motivations. We mentioned before, but State's one of them. And I don't think you can go out there and just throw the water boy today and say, okay, well, that's enough. But the good thing is you get through today, you're not going to be eliminated. That does give you the ability to go to Stephen and Gerangelo. So,
boy, but then you get in the whole, well, I get ahead of you. They got to play tonight and see what, but like you said, they're now in the double elimination bracket. So how does that work, Steve? They win, they play tomorrow. They lose, they play tomorrow. Either way, right?
Yep, that's correct. Yep. And so that's what you start thinking about. And plus you keep guys on their same schedule, right? I mean, that's like, last week you threw Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so you could bring Steven back on Thursday with a full week's worth of rest.
Okay.
You're not shorting points. You keep him on schedule. And then the next week, of course, he picks up a day because you go back to Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247-Sports. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Look, Connor Heisack was unbelievable, and Brooks Auger was awesome. But talk a little bit about, you've covered a lot of great players for Mississippi State baseball. Talk about David Mershon and just the way he has played at the plate, on the field, and on the bases. Steve.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we haven't had a lot of people that have that exact makeup. You know what I'm saying? It's like you look at Adam Frazier, and I've had some other people kind of compare the two. Adam, I don't know that Adam was the dirt bag, that Mershon is, and he certainly wasn't the rah-rah guy that Mershon is. But Mershon's really kind of a throwback. I mean, a guy that goes back to really a golden age in baseball. He's the attaboy babe. It's like he's constantly out there chattering. He is so engaged in the game. He never takes a play off. And there are some people that believe he's going to get drafted in between the 3rd and 5th round. And I think his size may hinder some of that, but it only takes one team to say, you know what, that's good enough. But, yeah, he is the guy in many respects that kind of became the unexpected leader of this squad. And you got a guy like Hunter Hines that, Hunter is absolutely not the rah-rah guy, right? He just kind of leads by example. So this team kind of needed kind of somebody to step up and not just be a talker, but be a doer, and I think that's where Dave Mershon kind of comes in. He struggled a little bit here as of late at the plate, and so need him to kind of get on track tonight and have a good ball game against Texas A&M. We certainly need him playing at 100% when you get ready to go in the NCAA regionals. But, Mershon's he's a unique player just because of the fact that he does so much of the stuff that coaches coach you to do, except he hadn't to be coached to do it. You know what I mean? It just kind of comes natural for him.
Right. Okay. All right, tell me about the no bid thing now. You keep up with all this. So for years when you and I were growing up and then eventually started covering Mississippi State and SEC, the big thing was the bid, and you could put a big bid in. And Mississippi State knows that they're going to draw the biggest crowds and make the most money. So that obviously has been changed. Can you walk our listeners through that, Steve?
Yeah. so part of it is like, so it's not like it used to be. Now you still have to basically say, hey, we want to host, we're in a position to host, because, they're not just going to go assign you a spot and then maybe your facility be under renovation, or you've got some issues, or, got some, U-Trip tournament in town is going to eat up all your hotel rooms, So you still have to go ahead and do, you put in a quote bid, but it's not like it was when we had the 6-team regionals, and that's the thing. A lot of the old guard kind of hangs on to that. It's, well, we got the biggest facility, we can make them the most money. Well, it just doesn't work that way. It's more of a meritocracy at this point, and so, and what's interesting too, I learned something yesterday, you're talking about the hosting aspect of this. UC Santa Barbara is concerned that they will not get to host because of their facility, and they don't have really much press box at all. And I was told this morning that their seating capacity is about 1,000.
Oh, good grief.
And there was another time they hosted, but it was like the drive is like 3 hours away. It's like, and nobody's going to go through that. You know what I mean? It's just like we're not going to go to all that trouble. And so I had some people telling me that staff at UCSB is worried that they're not going to get picked to host, even though they got top 10 RPI. And it's kind of like a couple of years ago. I can't remember the name of the Fairfield. Fairfield was like 1 or 2 in the RPI, and then ends up not hosting because they did not have the facilities to do so.
And that's the right call. That's the right call, Steve. UC Santa Barbara shouldn't host. I mean, that's easy. Let's make that decision right now and move on, right? I mean, boom.
Well, and then I mentioned, East Carolina's got representation on the committee, and so now you start thinking, okay, well, they're probably going to host. So then I think Indiana State and ECU become your 2 mid-major hosts. And I'm still a firm believer in this, and especially a year like this year when the SEC and ACC have dominated. It is most years. You give 6 to the SEC, 6 to the ACC, and you got 4 to work with, right? So you can take care of Oregon State and Oklahoma and take care of your G5s, and there you go. I mean, I don't know that you need to in Oklahoma. There's not enough teams out there in the West that, need to save some airfare.
Okay. So if you had to call it right now, are they hosting?
Yes, but I can't. I might put $10,000 on it, but not 100. You know what I'm saying? It's like my confidence level, just by hearing other people. You know what I mean? Because you know how it is. You get so caught up in your own research, and you start thinking, okay, there's no way I could be wrong about this. And then you talk to other people, and they're like, oh yes, the SEC is going to get 6. And I said, so what you're saying is Mississippi State is hosting? Yes, that's what I'm saying. And that's even before the ball game yesterday. Now you never know for sure what the D1 committee is going to do. What the selection committee is going to say. But typically when Greg Sankey and his associates come out and say, hey, this is what we want, they typically get that.
Okay. All right. So are you going to watch ball before the Aggies and Dogs play tonight, or what's happening?
Yeah, of course, man. That's one of the cool things. And I called my wife yesterday and actually visited with several Ole Miss fans yesterday, and took some pictures with them, took some pictures for them. There's one dad that was there with his daughter and his little son, and they was going to take their picture in front of the little SEC blow-up thing. I said, I'll take it. You get in there with him, And he's like, even with all this Ole Miss stuff on? I said, absolutely, man. This is your family, But this thing at Hoover, and I encourage every SEC baseball fan to go at some point, because it's really a celebration of our conference. It's a family reunion of sorts, right? I mean, all of my friends that write college baseball in this conference are here this week, and you run into people you only see once and twice a year. But it's so interesting, the tailgates out there, just people, school colors all represented around the conference, and it's just a lot of people that love baseball. A lot of people that love this league, and it's really a celebration of our sport in our league. And it's not like football at all. I mean, you know how it is. Everybody gets all jacked up, and they say do things they shouldn't do. But baseball, maybe it's because of the nature of the game, but it is basically one of those. It's a chance for us to have the SEC family reunion, right here around Memorial Day. It's a pretty cool thing.
All right, Lamonis versus Schlossnagle tonight. I mean, do we need to put on the boxing gloves? What's happening between these two?
I don't even know if it's fair to Schlossnagle, but no, seriously. I mean, this is a team in Mississippi State. Before we went down to College Station, I'd kind of convinced myself that, this A&M team may have been kind of propped up by, pretty weak non-conference schedule. But all of a sudden we go down there and play them. I'm like, hey, these guys are legit. Lampkin killed us on Sunday. Of course, he had a little help with Morris Hodges. That's that's the umpire bump game, that Sunday game against A&M. I don't think Morris Hodges will be behind the plate tonight, but which is probably a good thing. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting series. Interesting week, no matter who wins this thing. But A&M, I'm just curious to see how they mesh with this ballpark. You know what I'm saying? Because they're a launch angle team, kind of like Georgia. They're going to go out there and, they're going to be swinging for the fences. And they got a couple of guys that can hit them. But, again, playing at night in a place where the ball doesn't normally carry, if you can get a good pitching performance, I think State can get them.
Okay.
It's just going to be one of those deals where this game may boil down to who has the one bad inning, And, again, we don't even know who State or really who A&M's going to pitch. You just don't know.
Yeah. Okay. If MSU doesn't pitch Dome or Steven, I know Sanja's not pitching. Who's next for you?
Yeah, you begin to kind of work through all that. They've got a lot of options, It's like, Evan Sierra is a guy that kind of had A&M's number the last time and got through the order, I guess, twice. And then you pulled him to bring in Nolan Stevens, but, he was absolutely electric. So maybe you put Sierra back out there, and he's a guy that struggled at times to keep the ball down. But in this ballpark, there's a little bit of grace there, and so maybe Sierra's in the mix. That's something to consider as well. Maybe you just do a Johnny Holstaff thing. I don't think State's here to get to Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of got to go all in today to win this thing. So.
Steve Robertson, genespage.com, 247 Sports. He's working 24/7. For the Hell State Bulldogs. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
We'll see you, bud.
He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. This is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. So who would you give the MVP to? Connor Hysack or Brooks Auger?
Come on.
I think you have to go Auger.
Yeah, whoa.
I love huge sack, but
give it to the guy that swung that bat.
But 13 Ks kept him there. You know what I mean? That's
can't go wrong either way.
13 Ks kept him there. The bomb put him over the edge.
I mean,
man, that was an absolute missile.
Yeah. I love it.
That thing got out of the park.
109.7.
109.7.
Exit velo. Coming off that. Ping.
Damn nations.
Yeah, it's a swing.
Connor Hysack. Unbelievable. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And we're brought to you by Burgers Blues Barbecue, Dogwood Flowwood, and that honey butter chicken biscuit, among many, many other breakfast items this morning. Did you know that Burgers Blues Barbecue is now open in Dogwood, right by Chipotle? Fantastic place that Steven and the team have opened up. It's also got a full bar and all kinds of good outdoor seating. All brought to you by the honey butter chicken biscuit at Burgers Blues Barbecue and their new location in Dogwood Flowwood. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Hour number 2 coming up.